Welcome back, everybody. It is July 1st of 2023, and this is episode 55 of What is on My Desk. So we're back for another one of my monthly desk updates. A little bit to show you. I've got some progress on the models. I had a week off. Was that in May? No, yeah, that was in May. Anyways, progress on the models. I've got quite a bit done on them. Very close to finishing those up, so you guys will get to see the progress on that. And I have two new kits as well as aftermarket for one of those kits to show you some new products. And then at the end of this, we'll do a quick update on where things stand with the channel. Now, as always, before I get too far into this, my name is Sean, and this is Sean's Aviation. And quickly, just before we jump into the video, I do want to say thank you to all of you out there who are watching this. If you haven't yet and you do enjoy what you're watching here, down below, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. That allows you guys to know when I get new content released. As well, if you'd like to help out in a bit more of a concrete way, down below in the description, you'll see a link to my coffee account. You can go buy me a coffee. I almost always have one on the go. This one actually has s'mores flavoring in it, so yeah, there you go. Anyways, if you would like to buy me a coffee, by all means, go ahead and do that. But I'm not begging for money. I do what I do here because I enjoy doing it, and I get to take you along for the ride. All that being said, thank you for sticking out through this a little bit of a longer intro. Let's get swung over, and we'll take a look at these progress on these models, and you get to see those new kits. So quick update here before we jump over to the models. I have some new products to show you, specifically two new models. Something I have been looking out for many, many years. I haven't built one of these in probably close to 20 years, to be perfectly honest. And what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the 1/48 scale Hobbycraft CF-100. I don't have one, I have two, the Mark IV and the Mark V. Now these are as rare as hen's teeth, to be perfectly honest, and they haven't been made since the late 80s, early 90s is when these things rolled off the production line, and they haven't made them since. So they are extremely rare, and they are very pricey, as it is the only option for the CF-100 in 1/48 scale. And it is a relatively popular kit here in Canada. This is kind of in the same boat of what the 1/48 scale Hobbycraft Tudors were going for. You know, we're talking up in the hundreds of dollars per kit, just because of how rare they are. Now those Tudor kits have dropped because Kinetic is releasing a 1/48 scale Tudor, so that's going to make that price drop a little. But these haven't, and I don't. Now, that being said, because I bought these, we're probably going to see another company remanufacture one of these, and I will have wasted money on nothing. And I'm not going to tell you what I paid for these, but I will tell you that I have paid less than what they're currently going for on eBay. They were a good deal, so I took it. But let's take a quick look at the kit itself. We'll do the instructions and the decals at the end. It comes in this big box. The box is way bigger than it needs to be. I mean, you look at the pieces, and you could have put this in a box that was literally half its size. But this was a thing that model makers did back in the day. They made boxes bigger to make the kit seem more impressive than they needed to be. What are you gonna do? Anyways, so the kit comes on 4 separate sprues, and it's a very, very basic kit, hence why sorry, just lost my train of thought looking at the kit. It's a very basic kit, so it needs a lot of work to make it look good. There's not a lot of aftermarket for it because it's such a rare kit, so it's a bit of a pig, to be honest. But I'm going to do my best to make it look good. I mean, just to give you an example, like wheel wells, it's just a hole. There's absolutely no detail in the wheel well. The main wheel wells are just holes, no detail in there whatsoever. Landing gears are just sticks. There's no detail on the landing gear at all. Sinkholes everywhere. Ejector pins everywhere. It's a bit of a bear to build. But I'm going to take my time and I'm going to try to do it right. I'm going to try to make this thing look really, really good. The interesting thing is I can't find a copyright date on any of this. Nothing on the instructions, nothing on the box, nothing on the plastic. So I don't know exactly how old this kit is. But anyways, we'll start this with the 1/48 scale Mark V. I am going to pull the canopies out of here just because I don't want them to get scratched. This one is in actually really good shape for being loose. So anytime you see these plastic pieces that are loose with other plastic, they, yeah, like this one does have a bit of a scuffs. They tend to rub and scratch and you get these scuff marks and scratch marks across the top. This one is actually not bad at all and is in really, really good shape for its age. So I'm gonna throw that in one of the Ziploc bags I have kicking around here. And that's gonna make sure that it doesn't get scratched up. Like I said, I'm not gonna take these out of the bags right now, but at least it has panel lines, engraved panel lines, but they're the size of trenches. So it does look quite toy-like when it's completed. But I mean, again, there's not a whole lot you can do for that. Fit, I remember building one. Like I said, I built one of these. I built a Mark IV in the past, and it looks okay, but it definitely doesn't look the best. Like I said, with these massive trench line panel lines and whatnot, it looks a little dated for its age, but it is what it is. So you get the option of the rocket pods on the tips or the drop tanks on the tips. You do have the landing gear. As I said, the wheel wells are pretty much non-existent. And then over here, you've got the tail section, and then you've got your ejection seats and your instrument panel, which again is pretty basic. Cockpit's pretty basic, and the ejection seats are, like I said, basically nothing. They're pretty dated. So if you're gonna build the cockpit closed, it's not bad. You can hide a lot of it, a bit of detail painting, a little bit of scratch building. You can make it look decent. Same with the wheel wells. You can, if it's sitting on the wheels, you're not going to really see up inside the wheel wells, so you can make it work. One thing to note, the nose wheels, there's ejector pins on the back of the nose wheel, so it will take a little bit of work to clean those up. Make sure that the wheels look good. I'll do a full review on these later as I go to build them. I'm just going to do this quick talk through with you, show you what they look like. So going with the decals, sorry, the instructions, Hobbycraft makes these big, long sheets, and yeah, it's in a weird order. The numbers don't line up, so you've got to jump all over the place to make it work. But step one, you start with the cockpit, where you're assembling the ejection seats, the cockpit, the instrument panels, the pilots. It does come with pilots, and they're not horrible, to be honest. They're some of the better looking pilots I've seen out there. I'd be curious to see if they were copies from another kit. They kind of look like the old monogram pilots. I'd be curious to see how they compare to pilots in other kits and see if they just recycled other pilots. But either way, you can assemble up the cockpit. Step two, upper fuselage, exhaust cans and the cockpit glues in. Step three is the lower fuselage, where the intakes and the wheel wells glue in. And then step four, you sandwich the two halves together. Step five, which jumps all the way over to here, are assembling the wings, upper and lower halves of the wings together. Then you jump back here to step six, where the wings and the tail, you assemble the tail here, then it all goes together. Canopy, nose goes on. Then you got to jump all the way over to here to 7 to get to the landing gear and the wheels. So those get assembled. And then 8 is down here, and that's gluing the wheels and the landing gear and all that stuff into place. It shows you the doors come molded shut, and if you want to put the gear down, you have to cut the doors apart to make it all work. And then you jump over here to step 9 to build the wingtip rocket pods, and then step 10 is putting on the rocket pods and the pitot tube. And then the back side of the instructions have the painting and decal guides. And the model comes with two different sets of markings in it, one for the Belgian Air Force and one for the Canadian Air Force. And the Belgians were the only foreign Air Force to purchase the CF-100, and I don't remember off the top of my head how many they bought, but they bought a few, and this does give you the options. So the yellow, what's yellow? Anyways, the aircraft is basically the RAF. The Belgian one is basically painted in the RAF scheme: dark sea gray, dark green over medium sea gray. Same kind of color scheme you would have seen in the Canadian Camel Birds, as well as sort of World War II colors. And then the Canadian squad. So the Belgian is 349 Squadron, and then the Canadian one is from 425 Squadron in a bare metal, overall aluminum scheme. Decals, if you think the plastics is the weak point, these decals are definitely the weak point. I mean, it looks like they were drawn by a 5-year-old. They're very bad. I mean, the circles are off center. They're oblong. Like, they're just horrible decals. Nothing lines up properly. Everything's off center. Colors don't line up. They are not good decals in any sense of the term. So if you ever get these kits, never ever use the kit decals. I have aftermarket decals that I purchased. When I build these kits, I will do a review on those decals as well. I might have done a review on them actually in this channel. I can't remember when I bought them, if they were when after I started the channel or before. And the funny part of all of that is the box actually shows, I believe that's 430 Squadron is on the box, but inside you only get 425 Squadron decals, which is interesting. And just to clear up as well, the Mark V was the first version that was released, and as a model. Hobbycraft released the Mark V first, and then they modified the kit slightly to make the Mark IV. And the Mark IV, the only difference between the Mark V and the Mark IV in terms of the model is the lower fuselage on the Mark IV has been modified. You can clearly tell this has been opened already by somebody, and some pieces have fallen off the screws. And I'm just hoping that stuff isn't missing. I'll pull that canopy out and put it in a Ziploc bag like I did before. Since this one's already sort of off the screws in a couple of instances, you know, I can kind of just put it together and show you. It's not a small airplane in any sense of the term. People tend to think, you know, those 1950s jets were small, like the F-86 isn't very large, but the F-100, CF-100, is not a small plane. I mean, to put it into perspective, that's it compared to an A-26. So it's equivalent, it's effectively the size of an A-26. Like, they're not small airplanes. So yeah, the main difference between the Mark IV and the Mark V, this being the earlier Mark IV, this has 8 50 caliber machine guns that were in a little pod under the lower fuselage, and it's got the openings here where all the machine guns would stick out, or the firing would come out. The Mark V didn't have that and relied solely on the rockets and the tips to do the firing. So I have a Mark IV on the shelf already. Like I said, I think the plan is I'm going to build these up. I'm not going to go too deep into this because it's the exact same kit. It's exactly the same kit. These used to live in here, so that's what that's missing. Some of this stuff is missing, but it should hopefully all be floating around in this Ziploc bag. So everything I need to build the kit should still be included in the kit. Just got to get myself a Ziploc bag before I put all this away. So the instruction is effectively exactly the same. It doesn't jump around as much, but it's the same. Step 1 is cockpit, ejection seats, pilots. Step 2, cockpit and exhaust cans. 3, you're putting in the intakes and the wheel well. 4, you're gluing them together. 5 is the wings. 6 is assembling the tail and the wings and the canopy. 7 is the landing gear. 8 is assembling the landing gear and the doors. 9 are the tip tanks, and 10 is installing the tip tanks and the pitot tube. This particular one only has one set of markings. I have to look up what squadron this is. I don't know it off the top of my head what squadron NQ is. Actually, I say that, but I have a book that should be able to tell me those answers. I'm pretty sure that my handy dandy markings guide by Patrick Martin has a squadron code. Here we go. What did I say it was? NQ. Okay, so this is AB +3. So NQ is 423 squadron. So this is done up as a 423 squadron aircraft. And it has the European camouflage, same as what the British had in World War II. The dark sea gray, the dark green over medium sea gray with the black anti-glare panels. So I'm not entirely sure where I'm gonna go with this. Decals are just as bad as they were on the other ones. There's blowout in the color. You know, the roundels are too, the flags are too big. The flags are just brutal. Like, it doesn't, it's soft, it's blobby, it's hard to read stuff. Highly recommend aftermarket decals if you're going to build one of these CF-100s. And like that being said, I do have a set of aftermarket decals. I mentioned that just a few minutes ago. My plan when I do it is probably going to be to build this Mark IV up in bare metal. Basically paint it. Do this one up with tip tanks in bare metal. Although I got to look at the number, the history and see. It's either way. This brand new Mark IV that I have, I'm going to build up in alclad bare metal with my aftermarket decals. Pick something cool, do it up. Then the Mark V will most likely be built. I'm probably going to do it as like a 1980s 414 squadron with the day glow on it. I have to see if I still have some day glow, but anyways, day glow looks really cool. And they had a target tug, a 414 squadron kind of target tug variant later in its life with a bunch of day glow on it with the alclad, and I think I'm going to do that for the Mark V. And then the Mark IV that I've already built, I'm probably going to strip it, clean it up, and build that one in camouflage. And that way, any bad seam lines on that one, I'm not worried about. It'll be hidden under camouflage, and I'll piece together enough decals to make that. The camouflage didn't have a lot of decals on it, so I should be able to get away with doing that one up in a European color scheme and hide a lot of the errors I made on that. And then I'll have kind of that history. I'll have a CF, the Mark IV camo, a Mark IV bare metal, and a Mark V in its 414 squadron color scheme. So I think that's the plan. So yeah, that wraps up kind of where I am with new products. I'm filming this a little bit earlier as, you know, it's July 1st, and July 1st is Canada Day, and I have plans with the family. So I'm filming a lot of this stuff and editing a lot of this video well in advance. So it's not perfectly lined up with the date. So there might be some more products that I get before the end of June that I am not going to include in this video just for the sake of getting that video, this video out on time. So that's the plan for that. So yeah, let's hop over. I'll take a quick look at where I am with the models. Okay, another quick look at some new product I got, and it's this. Okay, there we go. Always works if I have the mic actually set up. So one more quick product to look at, and it's this guy here, and it's a resin aftermarket cockpit for the CF-100s that you just saw. Now these are effectively as rare as hen's teeth. There's been a couple of different companies that have done aftermarket for the Hobbycraft CF-101, sorry, CF-100s, but they don't last very long. There's not a lot of these kits in circulation anymore, and so there's only a small market. So they tend to put all their effort into making these. They sell a couple, or they only make a short run, and they realize that they can't keep producing them, and it's not viable. So the only other option is to jack the price up to the point that nobody's going to buy them, or you just stop making them. There's no sense putting effort into a product that isn't going to make you money. And that's normally what happens to these. He makes a couple, or they make a couple. The market just isn't there. They realize they're never going to pay off the loss, and putting more time and effort into mailing and packaging these and selling them. Everything else, it's just a losing proposition. So they stop, or the company as a whole just goes out of business. Or in a lot of cases, it's a cottage industry, and the people who are doing it are just, you know, they're related to be older, and they're too old to continue the process, and it goes by the wayside. So this particular one, it's built by Iroquois Models. They started life as a different company, and I believe they're from England. Yeah, iroquoismodels.co.uk. The website doesn't work anymore, as far as I know. It doesn't work anymore. And the website doesn't work. The Facebook page doesn't exist. You can't buy these anymore from them. You can find listings on a bunch of different sites. There were some reviews that were done from this when it first came out. I believe these are from the early 2000s. There's some reviews that came out from these. And there's a couple of online vendors that show them as a product, but everything's always on back order or quantity of 0 or unavailable right now. And as far as I can tell, the company as a whole doesn't exist, so there's no chance of these being repopped. I completely lucked out on this. I looked on Facebook, I looked on the internet, I was Googling, really searching, seeing if I could find these. I was looking on eBay, I was looking on, you know, like buy and sell groups. So what I ended up doing was I searched the product number, IQM48006. I searched via product number, and I searched it on Google Shopping. And I just basically clicked on every link that popped up just to see what I could find. And on like page 2, halfway down, it took me to a Japanese website that, as far as I could tell, because only about half of the site was being translated to English, it had this listed, and it had it listed as in stock. So I did some research on that website, and I forget the name of it already. I look it up. I'll put the website name on the screen here. From what I can tell, it's like a shipping clearinghouse in Japan. So when you buy from this site, they buy from third-party vendors, ship it to their site, and then ship it out. So it's a really weird setup, and I didn't quite understand why it's set up like that versus just having the initial store sell it, or however it might work. But either way, I think it worked out to about $40 Canadian. I took a chance. I sent them my money, and I gave it, 75% chance that I just threw my money away. A couple of days later, I get an email from them saying, the item has arrived. How would you like to pay for shipping? So it cost me a little bit more for shipping, because I didn't realize the initial price didn't include shipping, because again, everything was in Japanese, and I thought I was just throwing my money away, but was worth a shot. So yeah, I paid for shipping. I think I paid FedEx shipping, and I'm not gonna lie, this thing got here in less than 2 days. From Japan to my house here in Canada, on the eastern coast in Canada, eastern half of Canada, in less than 2 days, which for what I paid, all told, I'm in less than $100 for this thing. And to have this shipped from Japan to my house in 2 days on a whim, on something that is completely sold out everywhere I look, I'll take it. And the kit itself looks really, really nice. So it shows there's a short set of instructions here. The product pictures, it shows you what to do on the top half, how to cut out everything, the whole lip, everything around the cockpit. And on the bottom, it shows you as well to scrape off all of that interior detail. And then you just plunk the model in. And it comes with, it's nicely packaged with these little peanuts in this little box, so it's just big enough for the size, so you're not paying extra for the shipping. The cockpit is a vacuum form cockpit. I'm assuming it's pushed right off of the kit parts. Not always a fan of vacuum form cockpits. They do take a little bit of effort to make them look good. But if you do it right, they do look really good. And this is nice clear flat panels, easy to see where the lines are for painting purposes. So that is always nice. And then the kit itself, there's a little bit of warping on this one. I'm gonna have to do some hot water treatment to get this to unwarp, but it is beautiful. There's also quite a bit of flash, which tells me that these molds were starting to see the end of their lives. But I mean, it looks amazing. The instrument panel is beautiful, lots of instrument detail. The seats look ridiculously good compared to what you get out of the box. If you just saw the review, which was just before this, you'll see the difference in what these look like. The harnesses, the seat belts. Both seats are, it looks like there's a miss mold on that one. Part of the seat belt is missing. But they're just beautiful. The cockpit tub is amazing. You know, the radar scope, all the circuit breakers, all the instruments, the throttles on that side. Like, it's just, it's truly amazing. And then on here, these aren't really explained in the these really aren't explained in the instructions as to what I'm looking at here. So I don't really know. I don't really know what I'm looking at here. There's clearly a set of rudder pedals. But yeah, I'll have to do, it would be one of these, I'll have to look at some references for some CF-101 cockpits. There's also some stuff has been smushed. This has been all broken and bent out of shape. I have no idea where that goes. It kind of looks like whatever this thing is supposed to be. And I'm assuming that's what it is. That it mounts in between the two fuselages for some reason. On the fuselage, sorry, on the cross member of the fuselage, sort of in here, where this piece fits in here, this gets mounted in here, but I don't exactly know. Actually, it goes this way. It goes this way back. So this closes down like this, and it looks like this gets mounted. And am I even in the frame? I'm not even in the frame anymore. So there's all of these pieces, and I don't know what these are. This piece has been broken. There's all of these little bits and bobs that aren't included in any of the instructions. There's a set of rudder pedals that looks like they belong here, but they didn't get molded properly, so he broke them off of a different kit and provided them. I don't know what that is. That might be an attempt at a control stick. There's a bunch of other pieces missing over here, and then there's this piece at the end, and I have no idea what this is for. I'll have to do some research. I'm thinking where this is the canopy frame that closes down around like this and has the cutout for the ejection seat. I have a feeling that this piece fits in on this, but I don't know. I have to do some research. The rudder pedals obviously fit down in here somewhere. I just don't know where they go. I have to do some research on that. And there's no control stick included, so I don't know if I'm supposed to use the... Part of the garage kit is the instructions aren't always the best, but I'll have to do some research online. Look at some pictures of CF-100 cockpits and find out what everything is supposed to be and how everything is supposed to fit together. But either way, compared to what you see in like an out-of-the-box kit, this is amazing, and I'm very excited to do this, and clearly means one of my kits is going to be built with the canopy open. So you'll be able to look inside and see the inside of the cockpit. Huge improvement. That being said, as I mentioned, these are very hard to find. So no guarantee that you're going to be able to find one if you're interested in getting one for your kit. I just completely lucked out that even shipped to me. It was very possible that, you know, I sent them the money and then they sent an email being like, oh, we were unable to source this item. Here's a refund. Or not even, you know, just complete crickets after that, and I would have just lost my money. So I was fully aware that I had a chance of losing everything, but I gave it a shot and I got it. So you never know. But either way, interesting kit. I got to poke around and see if there's any more for this. I'd kind of like, I know he's done a landing gear set. It'd be interesting to take a look and see if I can find that and use that as well, but it's hard to say. I have a feeling if I'm going to build the model down on the landing gear, it doesn't matter. As long as you're going to have the really detailed cockpit. My other one I'm going to build with the wheels up. So it's not really a big deal. Yeah, anyways, that is that. The Iroquois Models CF-100 cockpit resin set. Very lucky to have found that. Let's move on and take a look at the kits.
So here we are back at the desk for another one of my monthly updates. And as I mentioned, there has been some significant progress on the kits. All the kits are painted, all the kits are decaled, and for the most part, everything is weathered. We'll start as usual with the Spitfire, and this is the current status of it. So as I said, it's painted, it's decaled, it's weathered. There's just a hint of exhaust staining. I tried to keep it pretty clear, clean overall. Had some issues with all the Alclad, same with the 26, which you'll see in a little bit. When I sprayed the Alclad clear, it seemed to react and reactivate the metallizer, and it caused, you'll see there's all these splotches everywhere on it. It darkened quite a bit. It reactivated the metallizer and allowed a lot more of the black. You can even see on the wing where the original color versus the new color underneath the decal clear coat, the original color, and around it's so much darker. And the airframe aluminum came out a little darker than I'd like, and then I added the clear and it darkened a little bit. And then I added the decals, and when I cleared on top of it, I figured the clear on top of the clear shouldn't cause any issues, but it did. And I'm just at a complete loss as to why that happened, but it is what it is. It still looks really good. It looks very metallic under the light in person, and I feel like everything that kind of went wrong with it just makes it look a little bit more, you know, realistic in some sense, but a little less realistic in others. So not the most ideal situation, but it is what it is. The prop has been done. Prop spinner, so you can kind of see if you quickly put it together. And it's interesting, the prop has this square emboss on the back, and you have to line it up with the prop spinner, so there's only one way that it fits together appropriately, and it locks it in place so the prop can't spin inside the spinner. You can see there, once you get that assembled, that's going to look really good with the, yeah, if I can get it out of here. So there's the canopy. So there's a few more minor things I got to do. The landing gear, the wheels still have to be painted. I got to put the seat back in, all the bits and pieces that go behind the cockpit back here, and then I have to repaint part of this armored plate in the cockpit color. The elevator and the rudders need to be installed. I still have to paint the exhaust. I haven't done that yet. That's also going to get painted in a metallizer with a little bit of a jet exhaust color, just to darken it up a little bit and give it a bit of a rusty shade. It's not really supposed to be rust, but the let's see if I can find it. That's chrome, stainless steel, airframe aluminum. Yeah, there's this burnt iron color, which has a bit of a dark and a bit of a brownish tint. So I'm gonna use that. What else do I have? It's gold titanium. There we go, exhaust manifold. There's what I'm looking for. See, it's got like a brassy browny color, so it looks like used exhaust manifold. So I'm gonna use that for both this and for the 26K. But it's just gonna give it that nice metallic look and then I can start doing the final assembly on that. So plugging away step by step. Just found out the hard way, lesson learned, if you use the Tamiya panel line accent color on Alclad, it eats through it. So I put some in the wheel wells and it just ate through the paint, the clear coat and the paint. Luckily it's only in the wheel well and I didn't ruin the entire paint job on that because that would have sucked. But yeah, for some reason this clear coat, this Alclad clear is just reacting really funny with stuff, and I don't know if I have a bad batch or not, but I'll have to figure that out in the future. Anyways, that's pretty much good to go now for the final little bits. Plugging away on that. Very happy with how that turned out. Moving on to the 26B. Again, painted, cleared, decaled, weathered. You'll see there's some exhaust staining. It's a little hard to see on the metal. It kind of blends in a little bit, but when you look up close, you can see it, especially on top of the olive drab sections. You can see it underneath. You can see the streaks. And then I went ahead and also did some around the gun bays, or the wing guns across the top of the wings, and then across the nose where the guns were, just to give it some blast, some gun blast looking detail. And then next up for this one anyways, I gotta double check my list, but I'm pretty sure I am good to start pulling the masking off on this one and getting the landing gear and whatnot glued on. I'm gonna have to mix up, I did the black wash on the 26 already and I just used straight paint. I'm gonna have to mix up a watered down version of it at some point so I can do some of the landing gears and the metallizers without that panel line accent affecting it. So I'll have to do a bit of a watered down tempera paint and go through and just pick out some spots, especially with the landing gears and whatnot, and just make it look a little bit more weathered. But this is getting close. I mean, there's not much left. It's just pull the maskings. You can see the cowlings have the olive drab anti-glare. The nose has the anti-glare. When you install said cowlings onto engines, you can see the exhaust looks really good. I'll zoom in here just a little bit. But you can see there the exhausts coming out from behind the cowlings look really, really nice. The camera's not really picking up the detail very well. It looks really good in person. You can see back here just this hint of black and a bit of white. The phone hasn't stopped all day. But anyways, it definitely looks a little dirty, which is what I was looking for. So that's coming along quite nice. So yeah, other than landing gear, I got to paint the wheels on this still, pull the maskings, and then start doing fiddly bits and gun barrels and stuff like that. But it is coming along really good. C model, same thing. Let's get you back out here. A little too far, and the plane is spinning. Yeah, so C model, again, same thing. This has already been hit with a semi-gloss, so this is the final finish. I'm not going to do anything else to it. It's been somewhat weathered. Again, you can see the exhaust staining across the back. It shows up quite nice. Again, in person, I don't know how much you can see on the camera, but it's got some nice staining where you can see the exhaust streaks that come out from behind the cowlings. When you put the cowlings on, it looks really good because it's coming out from behind the cowl flaps, just like you would see on a real aircraft. So that's nice. All the decals went down really nice. If you watch the time lapse when I do put it out, these decals acted really funny. They're 30-year-old monogram decals. So I ran into some issues where I thought they were going to fail on me, but they all ended up turning around and looking really, really good. So same with this. I've just got to, I mean, that final finish is on. I'm just going to check my instructions again, make sure I'm not missing anything. But for the most part on this, I can start pulling masking as well, getting the Bombay doors installed, cowlings, and then all the antennas and the fiddly bits. I got to get the base prepped. I haven't even started on that yet. But this is also coming pretty close to being finished. And then we move on to the K model. It's got probably the most work of all of them left to do. I just finished hitting it with a black wash. I didn't go crazy with it. It's enough to kind of just streak and leave some details, but not so much that it looks overwhelming. I want it to look dirty, but I don't want it to look ridiculous. I say that, but there's a perfect example why you got to kind of keep looking at it and make sure everything looks okay. Because you get some heavy spots with the black wash, and it just doesn't look right. And you just got to kind of go through it. The good thing with this temper paint is it's on top, so it's really easy to finesse and move, and you can add more and you can take it off, and at the end you end up getting something that looks really, really good. Anyways, so yeah, that's black wash is on. As you can see, the exhaust staining is done. I did it pretty heavy on this one, a way it would look a lot in real life. And again, when you put the cowlings on, having that exhaust come from behind the cowl flaps the way it normally would really kind of speaks volumes. And I'm going to be able to, with the props, I haven't shown you the props, the other ones yet. There is the C model prop, and that's the B model prop, just based right off of the instructions, which they're a little different, but I followed the instructions. And then the K model props, which are here, look really good as well. The cut down square tips. They fit quite nicely on the front of the engine, and they actually will hold themselves in place. So once I get this glued in, I'll actually be able to go along. I can pull the prop. I'll be able to pull the cowling and then put the prop back on. And that will, oh, see, that's already having issues. I gotta glue that back together. Anyway, so I'll be able to put the prop back on, and you can be able to choose whether you display it with the engine cowling on or off. And that's kind of what I'm going for. Already I can see the engine has unglued itself from, might have to use just a tiny bit of super glue to make sure that engine stays properly mounted to the cowl flaps. But yeah, so that's the plan for that. So it's going to give you the ability to choose whether you have it displayed with the cowling on or off. It should stay on without any issues after the fact. So this one at this point is basically ready to be hit with flat coat. I didn't do any weathering on the bottom because of the black paint. You wouldn't see much anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this with a coat of flat coat, lock all of this work in, and then I also did a little bit of a staining across the nose where the guns would blow back across the nose. So I got to lock this in, hit it with flat coat, make sure all the work that I've done on it already does not wear off. And then once that's done, I can go ahead and do like masking, pull it all off, get the landing gear, the bomb doors, antennas, all that kind of stuff getting mounted on, and then move that to that. The exhausts, I need to paint the exhaust on this still. This K model has each individual, can I get this out? Each individual exhaust stack. You can see one of them's there. There's more in here. So I got to go through and paint each and every one of those in Alclad, which I'll do at the same time as the Spitfire. And then I can mount those, which go in the back of the engines in here, and then stick out along the cowl flaps. And then I can glue those engines on the final time, and it'll just mount nice and tight and won't go anywhere. So that'll make that nice and solid when I can get that glued on. So that's my next step. Luckily, I made up a little set of instructions, lists of what I need to do in the proper order, so I can jump ahead a little bit but not too far, and I don't get myself stuck in a situation that, you know, I box myself into a corner, so to speak. So yeah, we're moving along, like just looking at that list right now. I can update. Like I've done the panel wash on that. So the Spitfire, my next step is pull maskings. The C model is pull maskings. The B model, actually, you know what? I've done that. I've done that. And I've done that. So now I have to paint the exhaust stacks steel. So I'll paint them steel first, or stainless steel, Alclad stainless steel, then hit them with the jet exhaust. So that's next. And then same here on that one. I can paint the exhaust stacks. So for the Spitfire, the next step I gotta do is either paint the exhaust stacks or, just paint the exhaust stacks. C model, I can pull the maskings. The B model, I can pull the maskings. And on the K, I gotta paint the exhaust stacks. So you can see that's kind of my next step. And then I can just go down that list, and I can make sure I don't get myself boxed into a corner where I can't go any farther ahead. Whether, you know, I don't want to jump ahead in the instructions and get rushed and be like, oh, I want to do this, and while I'm doing this, I can do that, and I do something on this or that, and then I end up getting stuck and I did something I shouldn't have done out of order. So I got to make sure I follow these, especially in the last little bit. You start to rush because you just want to get the models finished, and that's the time where you end up making a big mistake. So I got to be very careful and take my time and make sure I don't make any mistakes. And I just realized I've been filming this entire bit without a microphone, so I apologize to all of you out there for not having a microphone installed. I guess I'll just keep going. Channel updates. Where are we with the channel? The Spitfire, it's July 1st. So the Spitfire time-lapse part 1 would have released. The A26B time-lapse would have released already. And then the C model and the K model will be coming out soon. Part 1. I've already started editing part 2, but obviously I can't finish it until I finish all of this. Today's the 1st, which is Saturday. So Monday on the 3rd, I plan to release the next installment of the news video. I'm going to be recording that a little out of order, just because I'm off. I'm on vacation next week with the family, so I'm not going to have time on Monday to do it. So I'm going to have to focus on doing that probably on Saturday. Get that done. And then we move into July. And like I said, you'll have the C model release, you'll have the K model release, and then a few more things throughout the month. The next RCAF Squadron update will come out in the middle of July. And then we're into August and airshow season. So we're getting close. And I will have quite a bit of content coming with the air shows. Michigan, August 12th and 13th, I plan to have quite a bit of content out of there. I'm there all day Friday and Saturday, and there's a night shoot. So with this new video camera, I should be able to get some really, really, really good content out of there. So stay tuned for all of that. And I have 2 shows in September, both Gatineau and London. And I plan to get out and do some more shooting at the airport when I have time. So we'll see how it goes. But we're going to roll into that. And I have a couple of videos sitting in the queue. I got one on the Norden bomb site. That's going to be coming out. Another video that I had started working on. I can't remember what it is now, but I have a few more in the queue that I will be working on and getting released as we go to fill in some of the holes as we move into winter. But I should have some content for the next few months. I don't foresee any issues. I can always get back out to the Aviation Museum, get some more content from there. Lots of opportunity to do some shooting. So that is the plan. But yeah, I think on that note, I'm going to wrap it up. So again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, down below in the comment section, leave them there. I'll respond as best as I can. And stay tuned for some cool content. And as I said, if you haven't seen it yet, I'll put the link up right now. The Spitfire time lapse is out, and then the 26 is there as well. So you can take a look at the progress so far up on those. So yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you everybody for watching. We'll see you all next time.